So this week, the UFC booked Lerone Murphy versus Movsar Evloev for a supposed number one contender fight in the featherweight division, and who gets the next shot at Alexander Volkanovski. I say supposed because you know with this whole new era Paramount deal, the UFC's been giving out these crazy title shots. The last 2 weeks, we had two very undeserving title shots and a whole bunch of matchups that kind of don't make sense. And these guys have already been skipped over for the title shot. Movsar last April probably should have got it over Diego Lopez, and Lerone Murphy this January should have probably got it over Diego Lopez as well, maybe even in December if they did that. Lerone Murphy himself was like, I don't know if this is a number one contender fight. You don't know with the UFC anymore. But I think this is the perfect time to matchmake each division, get a number one contender fight going everywhere, because I think every single division is in line for a number one contender fight to happen between like now and June. So let's get straight into it. First up, starting with the big boys in the heavyweight division. I think there's two options for title fights here. We have one, you have Pereira versus Gane, interim title, when Tom Aspinall is inactive because of the whole eye situation, which is very bad. He did not quit. I don't care what anyone says. He did not quit that. I think Volkov versus Waldo is a no-brainer. Volkov's coming off a win over Jailton Almeida. That was supposed to be a number one contender fight. Obviously, I think the title shot, they would have already got a title shot if the whole eye poke fiasco didn't happen. Volkov had a bad performance, though. He won on bottom because his opponent didn't know how to fucking strike and land ground and pound. Jailton Almeida, that is. And Waldo Cortez Acosta, he's been on a crazy tear. And I think Volkov, he's going to have to sit out a year or something like that. I don't think he's going to do that. He kind of did do that recently. I think he sat out 10 months, but might even be longer than that. So I think Pereira versus Gane, if that happens, the winner of this might even need a fight after that. Because I think Pereira Gane like April, May, maybe June. And then they fight Tom Aspinall later in the year. And then maybe early 2027, we get this winner. I don't think they'll sit out for that long. Unless they do this fight in like April, May. And sit out like 8 months. But I don't even think Waldo will want to sit out that long. I think he just wants to keep fighting. We see it with him. The other option is Aspinall versus Gane 2. Pereira does not move up, which I think even if Aspinall Gane 2 happens, Pereira is going to move up for the winner of that. Because then after Aspinall Gane happens, it's going to be the same thing, like April, May, June. And because they're not going to sit out that. If Aspinall is active and ready to go, it's going to happen, I think, first half of the year, maybe summer. Or if he's not active, they're going to do Pereira versus Gane. I think either way, these people are going to have to wait out for a while, because I think Pereira is going to come up and fight Aspinall Gane 2, the winner, no matter what, later in the year. So I think this is the next fight to make for a number one contender fight, but they may also take a fight in between. I don't think Volkov, if he takes a win in here, I think Volkov will take the time off, but I think Waldo Cortez Acosta will fight again. Next up, going to the light heavyweight division, option 1 is Yuri versus Ankalaev. If Pereira stays down, like we were just talking about, if he stays down, fights Carlos Ulberg, I think we get Yuri versus Ankalaev. Number one contender fight. I think it makes sense. Ankalaev was just a champ, beat Pereira, which no one at light heavyweight has done. Then obviously got his ass beat in 80 seconds. But, I think at the top of the division, there's not really many title contenders outside of like these two and Ulberg. So if Ulberg gets a title shot, Yuri's still probably one away, I think. We'll go to that in a second, but against Pereira, he's already lost Pereira twice. Second time was a domination, both by KO anyways. But I think this is a fight to make. This is a very exciting fight. I think Yuri takes this, but this could be made again, like soon. Because I think Pereira's next fight will be booked April through June, sometime around there. Heavyweight, light heavyweight. And then after that, this will be made. But Yuri might be fighting Ulberg. Supposedly he's in negotiations, already in camp for it, supposedly. But yeah, that leaves to option 2. If Pereira does move up, and we get Yuri versus Ulberg, I think, for a vacant title, I think they will do Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz. It should be Azamat Murzakanov versus Yuri or Magomed Ankalaev, but we saw Azamat Murzakanov is getting Paulo Costa, number 13, out of the light heavyweight division, in the middleweight division, moving up and getting a top, 6 opponent in Azamat Murzakanov, who's on a tear right now. Azamat Murzakanov should be fighting a number one contender fight, but he's fighting Paulo Costa, number 13 in the middleweight division. Doesn't make sense. So I think we get Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz 2, because Jan Blachowicz is still ranked number 5. And then you have Yuri, I think, tied for number 1. Number 3 is Ulberg. Number 4 is Khalil, Khalil's going to be out for a while. I don't think he deserves a high-ranking opponent that much right now. He could get Ankalaev, because Khalil, they like Khalil a lot. He has some good privilege, which I think he's a great fighter. But I think they'll do this one, maybe. Ankalaev versus Jan Blachowicz 2, kind of settle the score unless it goes to a draw again and Jan Blachowicz is just cursed. But I think Ankalaev just takes this one as well. But I think they make this fight. Same thing. Sometime spring, summer. I think all these fights are going to be happening spring, summertime. I really do. I really do think so. Now we go down to middleweight. This one's already happening in February because Khamzat should be fighting Imavov. We know they've kind of said things about they don't want to fight because they're friends or some shit like that. I don't care. You're not that good of friends. You're not Merab and Aljo level of friends where you're kind of butt buddies. You're just cool. You're just cool with each other. So and then Strickland versus Fluffy. This fight's gonna be made. This fight's happening in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, basically. A really good fight card. I was actually just looking at it. The Houston card is very, very good. There's gonna be a lot of bangers, a lot of knockouts, and I think in this one, I'm leaning Fluffy just based on the activity level. I think he'll be able to out activity Strickland. The pressure, I think he'll be able to take Strickland down. Maybe not hold him there, but the takedowns. But Strickland could win this. I haven't obviously. This is just a quick prediction. I really got to watch film to make a good prediction, but right now I'm going Fluffy. This is the number one contender fight. Winner gets Khamzat. Fluffy, obviously, if he wins this, it's going to be like, oh, shit, this might be the guy to beat Khamzat, which people are already saying. If Strickland wins, it's like, shit, you just beat a heavy grappler, heavy, good wrestler with good pace. And he has the beef with Khamzat right now, so I think the winner of this needs to fight Khamzat. Hopefully Khamzat does not move up. He needs to shut his fucking mouth with this Pereira's a duck, this, that. Shut up, bro. Do not move up. I hope they don't let his ass move up. And if they do, make him fight like a fucking Yuri or something. Some scary motherfucker at light heavyweight. But yeah, this for middleweight. It's already booked. Makes sense as well for a number one contender fight. Now, welterweight, probably the most options we have in any weight class. Welterweight option 1. If they give the title shot to Kamaru Usman, hopefully not. There's 2 way better options and they're in this photo right here. They do Ian Gary versus Michael Morales, number one contender fight. No brainer. No brainer for this one. If Usman somehow gets a title shot, which I'm honestly thinking he won't. I have a feeling Morales is going to get it. I don't think he will. Usman, that is. But here, I think Ian Gary's beating. I think he'll be fighting down here, but he's beating Carlos Prates, who's a crazy good win in the division. We've seen what he's been doing. Beat Bilal Muhammad, who beat Sean Brady by finish as well, who's Michael Morales' best win. So yeah, I think Ian Gary deserves a shot. Ian Gary needs a number one contender fight or a title shot, no matter what. Same thing with Michael Morales, number one contender fight or title shot. It's a no-brainer. I would go Morales here. I think he'll be able to kind of impose his will and impose his big meaty frame on Ian Gary, who's I just feel is a bit susceptible to being bullied and just like pushed around and just beat up. I don't know why. He's very technical, very skilled. I just think he's susceptible to he's vulnerable. He's victim material, even though he's a 6'3" or 6'1" fighter. So option 2 is if Ian Gary gets a title shot, then I think you run Michael Morales versus Carlos Prates. Very, very good fight in my opinion. Same thing. Michael Morales will be fighting down, but Prates kind of deserves a big fight right now, whether it's against JDM, whether against Morales. We'll get to another option in a second. But I think he deserves a big fight and a number one contender fight, depending on how the title picture goes. I think Carlos Prates should be in the mix for 1 win away from title shot. Obviously, he also has the star power, the knockouts. He flatlines everybody he fights. What is it, 6 or 7 walk-off KOs in the UFC, if you include Dana White Contender Series. I think it's 7. Just knocked out Leon Edwards, former champ. Had the spinning elbow against Jeff Neal. People kind of forget his Ian Gary performance now. How it was kind of shitty early on, but obviously he almost got the finish. That's what people remember. So I think he gets Michael Morales here. If Ian Gary gets a title shot, I think this one also a no-brainer. Should be made. I would favor Michael Morales in this one. I think. I would guess Michael Morales has a good chin. I think he might be able to finish Prates early on if he gets really aggressive before Carlos Prates could find a rhythm. If he gets grappling heavy and heavy with his hands, like gets confident, I think he could finish Prates early. I don't know, but I want to see. This is a very interesting matchup. Very interesting matchup. I would love to see this one. So they could give Gary the title shot. I wouldn't care, but 100% they need to book this if that's true. Not Prates versus JDM, which it might happen. So next up, option 3 is if Michael Morales gets the title shot, which I think is the option they'll go with. There's been rumblings about it. Supposedly he was offered in January, or Islam said he thinks it was Michael Morales that he was offered in January. They did offer him the slot on 324. But I think Ian Gary, again, needs to be in a high-profile fight against one of these 3 guys. Carlos Prates 2, He would be fighting down for 2 out of these 3 matchups for Prates and Usman. He would be fighting down, but Prates, he can kind of prove again, like, I'm the number 1 guy. Prates did not. It wasn't like, oh, Prates was inexperienced or it was just a good night for me, a bad night for him. He could kind of prove again, like, I'm better than this guy. He could prove that. He's probably going to need a fight again. I think he wants to stay active if Morales gets a title shot. He could go against Kamaru Usman, the guy who's calling for a title shot as well. Be like, hey, I just beat this guy who dominated the division for years, who was right there for a title shot. I just beat him. Let's run it. I'm undeniable now. Or JDM, you do my best win. He beat him as well. Let's do this, former champ. Obviously, got dominated by Islam, so he's lost a lot of stock, like really bad. But I think JDM could beat him. I think Ian Gary probably beats. It could be Prates in a rematch. I think he beats Kamaru Usman. And JDM, I think JDM beats him. Actually, no. I think Ian Gary might beat JDM. Ian Gary might beat all these guys, actually. It's very tough for me to pick, but I don't know. I feel like against more physically imposing guys. Like Kamaru, these guys will all give him problems, but I think he could beat all of them, especially if it's like a 3-rounder. But yeah, I think JDM was a fight to make, actually, in this one. Then you could do like Prates versus Usman. 2 guys who are a bit lower in the rankings, not as good wins as everyone else. A bit lower in the rankings, but they could still, that could be, depending on how that performance goes from one of them, they maybe skip the line. But I think Ian Gary versus JDM, that's a really good one as well. I think any of these 3 makes sense if Michael Morales gets a title shot. Moving on to lightweight, BSD versus Arman Sarkarian. Arman, it's looking like it's going to be Ilya Gaethje, who's Gaethje's number 4, and then 2 and 3 is Holloway Charles, and then number 1 is Arman. Holloway Charles, that one's a bit weird because it's like, I don't know if they'll be ready because I think Dana said Arman's going to be fighting sometime between now and June before the White House. And BSD's probably going to want to come back quick. He already called out Arman. Arman's been talking shit about him as well, saying he'll never be top 5. I would never fight him because the UFC wouldn't want me to because I'll beat his ass. So the BMF winner's in a weird spot. The loser, they could fight someone else. Maybe Rufi. If Rufi gets another win, like a Gamrot. If he beats a Gamrot or a Pimlet maybe. They could maybe fight Rufi if Rufi turns around pretty quickly, which I think he might actually be a good idea to fight Gamrot sometime soon. I think it's a good matchup for him. That's something he should be eyeing, a Gamrot. Test his grappling again, but also someone who's not dangerous like a BSD with ground and pound and submissions, or who doesn't have power in the hands or isn't as skilled on the feet and effective on the feet as someone like a BSD. But yeah, so I think this is the fight to make. Arman's probably fighting soon. I would guess he's fighting soon. Dana even said it. BSD probably wants to come back soon. BSD is very active and just fights very frequently. I'm sure he'll take any fight. I just think the winner of the BMF won't be ready to fight one of these guys by the time they're ready to fight, because they're fighting in March. The BMF winner. I think Max might not take some damage because he could get it done early. Charles will probably take some damage, but Charles will fight anybody. He just fucking got flatlined against Ilya. Goes turn around 3.5 months versus should have been Fazeev, but goes against Gamrot. Still badass shit right there. But I think this one, I think it will be fun because the wrestling will be fun, the grappling will be fun. They're both dangerous grapplers, especially when they get on top. Ground and pound submissions, both very skilled grapplers. I think Arman's gonna have a speed, power, athleticism advantage, striking advantage as well. I think he could chin BSD on the feet. I'm not gonna lie. BSD's got a pretty decent chin, but Arman's fast and he's explosive. I think his straight punches might be able to get to BSD. The way Hooker was hitting him, Hooker's not that fast either. I think Arman could probably chin him on the feet. I feel like BSD, he could beat anyone in the division, but except for that upper echelon. I feel like, especially in lightweight, you've seen it for years with Poirier, with Charles, with Gaethje. There's an upper echelon of those fighters at lightweight, like the top 5 lightweights, whatever. And now Max is up there too. Max is going to be one of those guys, however long he sticks around, which I don't think will be long, especially if he loses to Charles. But yeah, there's like an upper echelon. I feel like tier 1 of his division is like the Ilyas, the Maxes, and the Armans. Maybe even just Ilya and Arman. Tier 1A, Tier 1B is Max, and then Tier 2 is like Charles, maybe a Gaethje. But I feel like there's like an upper echelon, or you can say like Tier 1's the Ilya, Arman, Gaethje, Max, Charles, and then Tier 2 maybe the BSDs, the I don't know actually. It's weird. It's weird because I feel like there's some people. Like I wouldn't put Patty up there. I wouldn't put Roofy up there. I wouldn't put Gamrot up there. Like, you know, so it's difficult. But there's that upper echelon of the lightweights where it's like you may be beating these guys from like 6 through 15, maybe beating their ass. But once you get to that top 5, it's a whole different ball game. So I think Arman beats him like by finish, maybe on the feet. Next up, featherweight. We already got this one. Movsar versus Lerone Murphy. I think Movsar's gonna win this. I thought it would be closer, but I've been hearing some things from people. I'm like, damn, that is right. I think Movsar's pressure will be able to get to Lerone. I think he'll be able to take Lerone down. His striking is also very effective, Movsar's. I think Lerone was a little bit susceptible to the pressure from Pico. He found a good shot because Pico is defensively irresponsible. Movsar is much better defensively. Not as effective offensively, I think, in the striking. But I think Movsar would take this by decision. Because Lerone's shown good technical ability on the ground, on the feet. He's well-rounded, but nothing. He's not crazy at anything. He is not powerful. I think his cardio seems fine. Maybe in a high-paced bout, maybe he gets tired at the end. Movsar gets a ground-pound TKO, something like that. But I think Movsar take this. And this is obviously the number one contender fight that needed to be made. Both these guys could have got title shots already, like I said earlier, but that's what we got. Now, at Bantamweight, we have 2 options. I think same thing at heavyweight. Not same thing as heavyweight. There's multiple options here with the same title fight. It's not the same as heavyweight. Yan versus Merab 2 will probably be happening in July or August because Piotr Yan just had back surgery on his lumbar. He's going to be out till July, I think his coach said. So July, August, September time. Will Sean O'Malley sit out to face a winner of that probably early next year? He could. He's sat out a while. He sat out, I think, 10 months for the Merab rematch. But he doesn't have the star power he once had. He doesn't. He doesn't have the leeway. He doesn't. And his performance against Song Yadong was not good the first 2 rounds. I think prove yourself against Umar. I think this should be the fight to make sometime over the summer after Ramadan, once everyone's recovered. Make this fight. I would favor Umar here. Sean O'Malley's takedown defense did not look good against Song, but Song Yadong's striking is much more dangerous than Umar. And it's like the way Song Yadong strikes, getting the boxing, those close ranges, powerful ranges, is different than Umar. Umar's like to stay outside on those kicks, which actually benefits O'Malley in the striking. So maybe Umar's wrestling isn't as effective in this fight as Song Yadong's, even though Umar's a much better wrestler. That's something to take in mind. So, and Sean O'Malley's shown pretty decent cardio. Showed it decent in the Merab 1 fight. Won that 5th round off a body kick. The Merab 2, I think, because Umar's not the pressure grappler that Merab is. Maybe, and he's not as powerful on the feet or as effective as the feet as Song Yadong. So maybe Sean O'Malley could win. I would favor Umar, but Sean O'Malley could definitely win this one, in my opinion. Next up, Bantamweight option 2. This is if they don't match them up, which Khabib said they don't want to fight. They wouldn't match them up because you have 2 guys, whoever wins. I think you either give Umar Ayman Zahabi or Song Yadong. Probably Ayman Zahabi because he's on a win streak. Song Yadong has just lost to Sean O'Malley, lost to every elite guy he's faced. Ayman Zahabi's on a 9-fight win streak. I think they'll do this. Just keep pushing him up and until he loses. Song Yadong's another good option because he's shown he can keep up with the best of the best. All his fights are pretty close with the best of the best guys. Arguably beat Sean O'Malley. A lot of people thought that was a robbery. I thought Sean O'Malley won. I think Umar beats both those guys. And then on the other side for Sean O'Malley, like I said, either sit out a year, which I don't think is gonna happen because you're not the same star you once were or in the UFC's eyes. Maybe you are. I don't know. But I think fight Corey Sandhagen at the White House. Corey Sandhagen has been calling for it. Everyone wants this fight. I'm sure Sean O'Malley would be more interested in this than an Umar matchup. I think Umar's a harder matchup. I think he beats Corey Sandhagen. But this would be a very fun fight. Everyone wants to see this. Maybe not at the White House because I want to see this shit for 5 rounds. But I think Sean O'Malley takes this by decision. I don't think he'll finish Corey. Maybe he does actually with the right hand or something. But I think it's another good fight to make for the Bantamweight division if Umar and Sean O'Malley do not get matched up. Next up, Flyweight. Or lastly, Flyweight. Option 1 is if they do Van versus Kopp. Co-main event UFC 326. I think that's the fight we're getting. Then you do Tatsuro Taira versus Kyoji Horiguchi with a win over Albazi. I think he's going to beat the shit out of Albazi. So give him Taira. And I think Taira wins this. I'm going to see a little bit more of Horiguchi. I haven't seen much of it. I didn't watch much of his Ryzen fights or the old from 2016. I was like 10 years old back then. I was not watching UFC. I haven't seen much of those. He looked amazing in his fight with Tigir Ulanbekov, but Tigir Ulanbekov, I think he's kind of ass. Tyra's a big step up from that. Tyra's big, probably maybe the best grappler in the division, like pure grappling. Back takes are probably the best. And he's big. He's big and long. He looked really big against Brandon Moreno. His boxing's looking better defensively, offensively, striking in general. Kyoji Horiguchi's a bit of a small guy, but he's very skilled, a little bit older as well. But I think Tyra will take this one. I don't know the method of victory, but it depends on 3 rounds, 5 rounds. We'll see. But yeah, I think he takes this one. And if Van Kopp made this as the one to make, while like Pantoja's kind of sitting out, because Pantoja's got to return July or later, probably September, August, maybe October, that time, I think, is what they were saying with his elbow injury. So option 2 is if Tyra gets a title shot, then you... God damn, bro. Those tits are fucking crazy. Jeez. But the next option is if Tyra gets a title shot, then you do Kopp versus Horiguchi, a rematch. For I think 2017 when Horiguchi subbed him. I didn't watch that fight. I don't know how the fight was going. Honestly, I don't know who I'd favor because Manel Kopp is not that great against grapplers. Maybe he's better now. He's in his prime. He's powerful. I want to see a little bit more of Horiguchi before I can make an accurate take and pick on this fight. I'm going to pick Manel Kopp to get this one done. I think Manel Kopp's the 3rd best fighter in the division behind Tyra and Pantoja. But Flyweight option 3, if they somehow wait for Pantoja all the way to July, which I don't think they will, I'll be stupid in my opinion. I think they do Tyra Kopp. I think Tyra wins this, like I said earlier. He's big, he's long, his striking's looking good. Some of the best grappling in the division. Like, I think he would sub Manel Kopp, especially if it's a 5-round fight. I think he subs Manel Kopp. Unless he gets chinned early, but I think he could sub Manel Kopp. I think he'd win this. But this, again, if they wait for Van Pantoja, which I think is the least likely option here, I think they'll do this fight. I think it's either Kopp, UFC 326 co-main, or like April, Miami, or maybe May, go to Japan and do one of these guys. But yeah, so those are my matchups for every division number 1 contender fight. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, what you agree with, what you disagree with, the matchups, the picks, and what you should think happen. So that's it. Subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.